Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank, I want to yield myself such time as I may consume, and I want to thank the Speaker for the comments. Today we're here because of a failure by the Biden administration to prevent a rail labor strike, and it's unfortunate that we need Congress to act quickly to avoid, obviously, a catastrophic economic disaster or consequences as a result of this. Freight rail is extremely important in our nation's economy and national security. And approximately 40% of all the long-distance cargo is transported by rail. In recognition of freight rail's economic importance, Congress enacted the Railway Labor Act. And this legislation helps to ensure that collective bargaining rights for rail workers. It created processes, including congressional action, which we're doing, to ensure the prompt settlement of labor disputes that could interrupt interstate commerce and damage the economy. When an agreement was not reached this past August, President Biden appointed or a PEB. It's called a Presidential Emergency Board, and it recommended a very robust package of pay and benefits for railway workers. Salary increases of 24%, starting retroactively, by the way, in 2020, which goes through 2024. There was very generous health benefits with employee contributions capped at 15% of premiums and additional paid day off. But it should be noted that the Biden administration's PEB recommendations did not agree with the union's demand for additional paid or sick leave. And I'm disappointed that the Democrats in the 11th hour altered the items, these particular items, to cater to the demands. This is an extreme and an unprecedented version of the necessary congressional intervention. As the original September deadline for a strike approached, President Biden's Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh, negotiated a tentative agreement with the railroad companies and all 12 of the rail union leaders. President Biden hailed the agreement as a win for rail workers, and Secretary Walsh and other union leaders, they praised it as well. We all saw that in the news. But it's now clear that the administration cannot close their own deal. 8 of the 12 unions voted to ratify the tentative agreement. 4 voted it down, and a rail strike is now possible at midnight on December 9th as we approach a very busy holiday season. So it now falls on Congress to avert a railway shutdown that would literally devastate the economy, which is already coping with the disastrous consequences of the administration's economic policies. And a rail shutdown would severely disrupt supply chains and add to a 40-year high inflation that we're already seeing. It would lead to higher energy costs as winter weather raises energy demand, and it's going to disrupt global food supplies. The estimates are that America's economic output could decline by $2 billion a day. For these reasons, organizations representing just about every industry in the economy have called on Congress to avoid a crippling rail strike. And it shouldn't have, it never should have come to this. But I encourage my colleagues in this process to avert a strike. I do encourage my colleagues to support House Joint Resolution 100. This is, while the rail strike is imminent if something isn't done, what folks need to understand as well is the railroads will have to start shutting down a lot of the critical, particularly hazmat, hazardous material movement. They're going to have to shut that down earlier, in fact, a week earlier, and it's absolutely going to cripple the economy. Anhydrous ammonia is one of those things, and if you live in a rural state or you live in a very agriculture-dependent district, right now is the time when anhydrous is being applied. So that is just one area as an example that we're going to see some serious problems if this isn't averted. Again, it's very sad that the majority chose to change this at the very last minute. Now we're voting on two different resolutions with a very generous paid sick leave, in addition to what's already out there in terms of employees who have health issues. But with that, Madam Speaker, I would reserve the balance of my time.